are they working on now? Don't save. Don't save. Okay. Morning, folks. How are you? Well, I wanted to give you guys a rundown. Got the kids off. Cheers, morning cup of coffee with a little bit of butter in it. It's good, baby. Indian monsoon. So, what did I wanted to go on this morning? I was going to do a video, and I actually shot a video, and I was trying to edit it down and all that kind of stuff, and it just wasn't having at it. Meanwhile, everybody, okay, this is a freshly washed and laundered shirt. Thank you, Angelo. Okay. See the spots on there? Yeah, those organic cleaners. They don't get the spots out. So, I'm going to have to use the good old Arm & Hammer and use it wisely, but yeah, they don't work. And this is my favorite shirt, too. I love this green. Angelo, you hit it right off the deck correctly. Cheers to you for the right color. I'm a green kind of guy. So, I wanted to give you guys a... sorry, got to get the caffeine rolling this morning. I wanted to give you guys a rundown on the Mother Earth Fair. So, typically, the Mother Earth Fair is where we go, is Seven Springs, Pennsylvania. I call it the Gucci Show because it's right at the hotel. It's right at the resort. So if you're done with the fair, you can go out and do all kinds of activity. Golf. It's typically in the fall, so it tends to rain a little bit. But if you want to golf, if you want to do ski, they have everything. Tons of shops. You can stay right at the hotel. It's pretty expensive. It's not cheap. It's an expensive weekend. And that's before you buy stuff at the show. And the show was good. I love it. So there's a couple things that are a little bit crunchy for my taste, but for everybody, I think the Mother Earth Fair gives you a ton of information. And you can learn about bushcrafting to solar energy to butchering your own livestock. And they have all kinds of tools for that. So, it's a great fair. It's a little bit pricey, but you got to remember those guys bring everything. They bring the stage, they bring the audio, video, they do video presentations. The presenters themselves are super knowledgeable. The last guy that we were there, that we watched Saturday, we went to the Mother Earth Fair this year. In Fredrick. This was the first year that they've had it at Fredrick, which is about an hour and a half from my house, which is totally doable for Saturday. Totally awesome. Totally awesome. So, in knowing the Fredrick Fairgrounds, I said, how many people are they going to put in there? I mean, there's like 4 buildings. I didn't know how big it was. It was huge. They took every building. They went 3/4 of the way through around the racetrack. They had tons of vendors, tons of people. I'll tell you in a minute what I learned. But so from a fairgoer for the first year at Fredrick, I didn't notice one hiccup, not a single one. I mean, it was totally dialed in. I didn't see. I talked to as many vendors as I could. I talked to almost a lot of vendors. Not one of them, not a single one complained about parking, about their booth, about everything was dialed in. It was great. And normally I ask a lot of vendors, you know, in a lot of festivals, how you like the booths and all that kind of stuff. The same weekend, they had the art show that was right down the street, the art show. But as I talked to another vendor, they said, typically the people who were into the real high art, they're going to hit both shows, or they're not going to hit the Mother Earth Fair. So, a couple of the big things that I wanted to look at. One was Yanmar. Okay. So I happened to grab some Yanmar swag. Thank you, Yanmar. Okay. And I got to know their tractors. They're starting to go up in a higher classification. Before, I think they were only about 50 horsepower. Now they're going up. I think the guy said they're around 100 horsepower now. So they explained their transmission design. They explained that Yanmar is built from stem to stern. If it's in between the wheels, they make it. So, pretty cool. I know for a lot of manufacturers, the under like 35 or 40 $1,000 tractor, the under 50 horsepower tractor, they farm that out to Mahindra. Mahindra is the biggest tractor manufacturer in the world, but they build tractors for a ton of other manufacturers. A lot that you would go, really? I paid this much for a Mahindra tractor? Go check it out. So, and a lot of those manufacturers will say that, hey, this is built by John. This is built by John Deere. Or this is built by, I don't know, Coyote or whatever. And it is built by those companies, but it's not manufactured by those companies. So, go take a look at those. So, I went to Yanmar. Their stuff looked really good. They're starting to get to a point. Mahindra. Good Lord. Sorry, Yanmar. Yanmar is getting to a point where their finished product on their tractors, on their, I would say, hobby farms, the under 50 horsepower, and their kind of light farm duty, their 50 to their 100 horsepower. Their finishes are getting pretty good. They're still a little light. If you look at the biggies, Kubota, John Deere, and AGCO, or any of the AGCO brands of tractors, you'll notice that that the Yanmar is a little light. But you can ballast the tires and all that kind of fun stuff. So I got to understand what they're all about. They have come out with a very small, let me see if I have it. The guy gave me, I'll get to these in a second. Okay. It was really good. It was, let me just empty this. Let's see if I can find, oh, there's the pen. Okay. Yeah, I don't care about that guy. Alright. I find it a lot easier, guys, to do a live stream. Oh, I got to talk about those guys too. Oh, I completely forgot about those guys. Okay, so this is the exciting thing that I saw Mahindra doing. God, Yanmar, I am sorry. Yanmar doing. Do you see what that is? That is a small round baler, okay? This will produce round bales about 60 pounds. A round baler, as opposed to a square bale that uses, what's it use PTO horsepower? 18 horsepower. You can run this off a subcompact tractor. If you have, say, 5-10 acres and you're growing hay, you can take your 25 horsepower, I don't know, Massey Ferguson or your John Deere or your Kubota BX or whatever. It runs off of 18 horsepower. That's amazing. That's a pretty amazing thing. I don't run hay, but that for a hobby farm guy, that's pretty amazing. 18 horsepower. So that was a pretty exciting product. Yep, they're 35 horsepower tractors, and they go in their 45 and 60 horsepower tractors. Okay, I got to look through this. I haven't checked it out. It's pretty cool. I enjoyed those guys very, very much. Okay, yep. And I want to talk about those guys as well. What is this? Oh, yeah, I got to talk about that guy too. Very exciting, people. Very exciting. Okay. So, the other question I get from a lot of people is when I come back from a show, I typically have a ton of swag with me. Free promotional items. And people go, well, how did you get that? And it's very simple. They will give it to you freely. I got a hat from Yanmar. Okay. It's an okay hat. It's not the best in the world, but it's a promotional hat. It's a summer hat. It has mesh in the back, so it's a summer hat. It's black, so it's going to be a little hot in the summertime. And I got their little bag. Okay? It's a nice canvas heavy bag that I used all day. It's a beautiful bag. Thank you. Yanmar, thank you very much. I greatly appreciated it. All these manufacturers have swag material. They have all of that freebie stuff to freely give out to people. But if you're going to go by the booth and say, hey man, I heard you had a hat in a bag, can I have that? Okay, that's what that's not really about. I went there to actually learn about the product that they're selling, and I have another couple pieces of swag that I got. So a couple pieces of promotional material because they spent the time with me. I spent the time with them, and I learned about the product that they were selling. I learned about their product line. I took a little survey, you know, how'd you find out about us, all that kind of fun stuff. And in return, they happily gave me some swag. It's great. I got an education on their product, which was very fascinating. I want to go through a lot of the stuff that the guys were talking about. So I had one sales guy that was, it was funny. The sales guy that was, it wasn't the sales guy, but it was the product rep, used to work for Caterpillar, heavy machinery. And I think he said he was there 3 months so far. And then the service guy that was there, I think he said he was there for 6 months. That he had switched over, he said, from another very big equipment manufacturer. I don't know what that means, but the guy was really knowledgeable, and he seemed like he knew the product, just not from the short time that he had been there, but he had worked on other Yanmar products. Now, why is Yanmar so big? Well, you look across the market, you look at John Deere, you look at Kubota, you look at generator manufacturers. They typically run that 3-cylinder Yanmar diesel engine. It's in everything. Yanmar is typically a diesel engine manufacturer. Those guys are great at what they do at the diesel engine. So they don't use in their tractors below 100 horsepower any urea. They typically use a catalyst, a catalytic converter. They get it so hot, burns the soot off, and away you go, and it regens itself. So you don't have to add any DEF, or basically it's bull pee. So, so that's Yanmar. Pretty exciting product. They had a cab model there. In their 35 horsepower tractor. So they did have one that I got into, and it was a hydrostatic. And how they do theirs is some of them will have a rocker pedal. Okay, so you push this to go forward, and you push the back to go back. So it's one rocker pedal. I don't typically like that. So what they do is they use a 2-pedal hydrostatic system, which felt pretty good. The cab, the fit and finish was pretty good. I've sat in a bunch of Massey Ferguson cabs of that size, and they seem to be a little more roomier. The door was a little wider than the Yanmar. So the door, for a little, you know, I'm 272 pounds now. No, I'm not. I'm 268, sorry. So what happens is the door on the Yanmar in the cab was a little narrow. I like that the fact that in the cab models the joystick for the loader was built into it. They don't have a third function as of yet. That is on its way as a kit, so the dealer will come in and either add a box to the front of the loader, or he will completely unscrew that joystick and then screw in another joystick that will have those features on there. So they're not sure as of yet, but that's on its way. It's coming. It's already in engineering, as he said. The reason for that is if you're using a grapple or you're using a snowblower on the front of the machine and you want a third function as opposed to up, down, left, right, if you want to put another third function in there for a grapple or for a snowblower to change the chute or raise it up and down, that's the third function. So the fit and finish on it was real good. It wasn't bad at all. The looks of it were really good. I thought it was a pretty snazzy looking tractor. Now, the hood and the fenders, I believe, were plastic. I believe were reinforced plastic. I believe that. I don't remember. It was getting late in the day, and I was, But the sides were, when you pick up the hood, the sides were kind of hard to get to the engine itself with the loader in there. But the loader was quick detach. But the guys, I talked with the sales guy and I talked with the service guy, and both of them, and the dealer, and I talked with the dealer that was there. They were actually next door, so those guys were very good, and they gave me some really good schooling information. So that's Yanmar. Thank you for the swag. Thank you for the time. The next place that I went to as a big manufacturer was Makita. Makita, okay, a little nicer hat, right? It's still black like it was, but it's black and gray, and the back of it has that, okay? So it's a little better step up than the Yanmar. It's nice. Now, the other thing I got from those guys, and I talked to them about all their product lines, so this is exciting, the information that I have for them. So, I was there for a while. I thought the guy, I just wanted to get the whole bead of what Makita was all about in their products, as far as in their chainsaw, their outdoor stuff, their gas-powered chainsaw stuff is great. But, so, I talked to them about several different things. So, as an exchange, their time for my time and my time for their time, they give you some swag. So one was a hat. I actually ended up wearing it halfway through the day because, as you can see, it got a little sunburnt. But the other thing the guy had pulled out of his magic bag, which was really cool, and I am so very excited, pleased, and happy to have received one of these. If you can see it or not. Okay. It's a Makita branded. Okay. Multi-tool. Okay. And it's spring-loaded. I've already used it. It's not branded with somebody, but I think it's a Gerber. I think it's a Gerber multi-tool. And it comes with all kinds of fun stuff, okay? Okay, knife, bottle opener, saw, screwdriver. Holy smokes, there's all kinds of stuff on here. Saw, flat blade screwdriver, file, and the proverbial can of bottle opener. On the inside of it comes, I don't know if you can see the serrations, you can open a bottle with it. Or jar or lid or something, toast off. So, thank you. Makita, you guys have really Wow. Wow. This is cool. This is not an inexpensive item for those guys to give out. But I was there for a while, and I wanted to get the rundown on Makita. So Makita, okay, they gave me a full line, thick, beautiful, heavy catalog. This is not cheap to hand out, folks. I mean, this is a dealer, you know, it's made to go in there, and it goes through every tool that those guys make. Now, what I found out about Makita is sort of kind of, I didn't understand Makita. I didn't understand the product lines themselves because they have 12 volt, 18, but they have 18 in a subcompact and a compact, and then in the full-size tool, and then they have 36 volt. Now, what Makita is all about is pretty cool. It's very smart. Makita only makes two batteries, 12 volt and 18 volt. If you look at, say, Milwaukee, they use 12, they use 18, and I think they also have a bigger battery. I'm not sure about that. I have to ask Vince over at VCG. DeWalt, tons of batteries, okay? So Makita only uses two batteries, a 12 volt platform and an 18 volt platform. But what they do with the 18 volt is they stack them for 36 volts, okay? You'll notice that the guy was talking about battery technology and how in 2020 something, whatever, in the state of California, there's going to be you can't buy a push lawnmower. You can't get a battery-powered, like weed whackers or chainsaws or anything like that. That's all got to be battery-powered. It's crazy. Can you imagine a manufacturer like Briggs & Stratton? Can you imagine a huge company like Stihl or Husqvarna? I mean, these guys have run decades on all kinds of highly powerful, very fuel efficient, and clean engines. And California says, no, it's all going to be battery powered. Well, so all these manufacturers, DeWalt, Makita, Rigid, Ryobi, Stihl, Husqvarna, all those guys have to now run and build battery powered products for people to use, even for the professionals to use every day. That's not gas powered. So as a trickle down to that, the whole market section gets into battery technology. So the stuff that he was talking about in battery technology was pretty cool, but let me explain to you what he had explained to me about how Makita works in their thought process. And I thought it was super smart. So the 12 volt, okay, 12 volt product is built for occasional use or very small areas to get into with a little more delicacy in their ability for torquing of fasteners. If you can't get in with a subcompact or a compact driver, that's where 12 volt product comes in. And it's also for occasional use. You know, if you're doing kind of home projects, or if you're a guy that's out in the area, you want something super light, because the subcompact stuff is about the same size as 12 volt product. If you look at any of the other 12 volt product that's out there, the subcompact 18 volt Makita, the subcompact, the black tool 18 volt brushless product is actually smaller and lighter than the other 12 12 volt systems that are out there. I mean, he had, we were looking at stuff. It was crazy. And it's 18 volt. So that's 12 volt. Now, what Makita wants people to do, and after the guy explained it to me, I was like, that's super smart. Those guys, what Makita wants you to do is to get into a battery. All these systems, I don't care if it's yellow, if it's red, if it's blue Makita, whatever manufacturer it is, once you're sucked into a battery, you're sucked into that manufacturer itself. So I know the guys at VCG run a lot of Milwaukee. Why? Because they're tied into the batteries. Okay? It's heavily into the 12 volt and 18 volt system. Those batteries aren't cheap. They're not cheap at all. So Makita is very smart in the sense that if you buy, as a pro that's out there, if you buy the 18 volt product, that's all you'll ever need. So what they're talking about is the subcompact, okay, has loads of power. That impact driver is insane. But it has the tight, close quarters ability for that to go into small, tight areas. And it also has the power in order to drive certain fasteners to get in there. Now, it is super lightweight. It is super lightweight. So you can use it all day long. Now, it comes with a 2 amp hour battery. And you can pretty much, if you're driving fasteners or you're doing decks, you know, if you're a deck guy and you don't want to pick up that 18 volt heavy, you know, you pick up a typical 18 volt, and at the end of the day, last thing you want to do is pick that drill up again. But this thing is so super lightweight. Zip screws in all day long with a 2 amp hour battery, and it is super light. It's got gobs of power. I was drilling an 1.5-inch auger hole through a 4x4 post. We were sinking 3-inch deck screws in a 4x4 post. We were sinking 2 3/4-inch screws into that 4x4 post. Now, the thing that I love, now, I mean, this sounds like a Makita thing, a commercial for them, but I think those guys have really, with that subcompact drill drive, that impact, they have a assist mode. So what the assist mode does is when it starts slow. When it starts to feel high torque, that's when it gradually pushes the power up, 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 up. And as it does that, it spins the fastener. So as you are into the wood and you have started the screw, as opposed to when you start the screw, it's very, unstable. Okay, so if you zip it fast, you can come off of it. But if you start it slow and you start that screw, and about halfway through, it zips it through just as fast. I never cammed out of a screw, and they were using typical Phillips head number 2 screws. Now, I've gotten off of those because you can cam out of those pretty quickly. But once that thing goes up to full speed in the assist mode, you know, you can have at it in the unassist mode, and it just zips them in like nothing. But that assist mode is spectacular. The tool was super light. When I picked it, I have to admit, Makita, I have to admit, when I picked up that drill, that impact gun, I thought it was a toy. I thought it was an absolute toy. I thought it was a joke. I was like, okay, yeah, right, whatever. Okay, this is a home gamer's tool. No. This thing has tons of power. Now, what's the cool thing about that? So, you buy 18 volt, okay? Your day-to-day operations, you're typically going to pick up that black subcompact. If you need more, you'll go to the compact. You still need the small form factor with a little bit more power Okay, the chuck is a little bit the not the chuck. I'm sorry. Jeez Louise. The the transmission in it has a little more guts to it. The power behind the motor is a little more. So it gives you a little bit more torque and speed than the subcompact does. And if you really need a high torque situation, that's when you go with the standard drill, and it's heavier. So what you're getting is you're getting three platforms. Okay, you're getting the subcompact that's super light, really powerful. Compact, which is more power, okay, and then the high torque of the standard brushless. Okay, they will all of those tools will run off the same 18-volt pack. So when you typically buy a tool-only design, okay, you buy one platform, you buy the 18-volt platform, okay, and then off that 18-volt platform you can go, 2 amp. They're coming out with a, I think they said a 9 amp hour battery up to a 5 amp. So they run from 2 to 5 right now, and they're coming out with a 9 amp hour, which is the same size as their 5 amp. I don't know how they're doing it, but they said the battery technology that they're coming out with is absolutely insane. So you buy 18 volt. Now if you look at the batteries on there, on that 18 volt, they run cooling fins through the battery, so that when you put your batteries on rapid charge on everybody's thing, the battery is closed up. Makita said, you know what, these batteries, when you rapid charge them, or when you charge them in general, they're going to get to a certain point in temperature and they're going to go, no, we need to cool down first. So every time you go through any of those chargers, whoever it may be, they have a fan. And that fan keeps the charger warm. I mean, keeps the charger cool, but the battery is still hot. Makita got smart, and they said, you know what? What we need to do is, in order to charge it to get a faster charge rate, okay, 30% faster, I think that's what the guy said, they're 30% faster in the charge rate on a standard charge. Their rapid chargers even faster, okay? They run that fan that cools down the charger, but it also pulls air in and through the battery pack itself, and the battery pack itself stays cool. So you're not hot swapping batteries, you're not burning out the chemicals in the battery itself, you're not changing the whole chemical construct of the battery, and thus taking that battery's life and cutting it in half. Because you'll notice all these battery manufacturers, when you buy the rapid charger, there is specific instructions. And those batteries, what the guy told me was pretty smart. All these batteries have a little circuitry in the battery itself. And a lot of the battery manufacturers are putting little IC chips in there that count, that take a ton of information. How many times it was charged, what was the discharge rate, what was the recharge rate, all of that stuff. They can put it on their computer and read the battery. Same way that they can use one tool and they can shut the tool down. Makita, what they do is you can take their charger with a little lock on it, plug it into your computer, plug in the serial number of the tool, okay? And so that battery is married to that tool. So that if somebody steals the tool, the battery only lasts 10 hours and then it shuts everything down. It shuts everything down. You can't use it. So that battery is no good until it's put back on there and it is sunk with that serial number. The battery pack is dead, which I think is okay. It still doesn't keep people from stealing your tools, but it just makes it more expensive for them to use your stolen tools. So, what Makita does with their 18-volt platform, which is super, 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 super smart, okay? You buy 18-volt product. Everything across the board will run off a 2 amp hour battery, for the exception that I know of is of their their sliding compound miter saw. They want you to have the, I think it's the 5 amp hour battery, and the circular saws, both the D handle and the standard. They have a worm drive, and then they have just the standard direct drive saw. I had a chance, not at the Makita booth, but at another guy, to try out 36 volt in the worm drive configuration, or however the hypoid, whatever they call that. And the guy had a track saw there that was good, and he also adapted the bottom plate of that hypoid saw to this, and I was just ripping through very wet 4x4 posts. What he was demonstrating was his track saw system that you can adapt to anything. And I was ripping through this with this 36 volt hypoid saw and also the direct drive saw. I couldn't tell a difference between the two, and he just said rip on it. He said flog it. So I could only cut as fast as the blade could cut itself. Okay, it didn't bog down. It was astonishing the amount of power out of there. So what they do for 36 volt. Now I know a lot of people have a problem with the grinder. Okay, they had the grinder there. Makita had the grinder there with the two 5 amp hour batteries on it. Okay, and I picked it up, and everybody like, well, this is no good. This is way too heavy. The tool was balanced. The tool was balanced. So the other issue that I had is, okay, well, how much power am I going to get out of here? So he had to demonstrate the tool, because the blade, if the blade spinning would have had any defect or broken, if I would have gotten hurt, he could have gotten sued. So he was jamming it in all kinds of stuff. He was cutting block with it. He was cutting ceramic tile. It was amazing, really, truly amazing. So the 36 volt product, unlike DeWalt where you have to buy 60 volt batteries, they run 218s. Now, what's the cool thing about that? I'm already an 18 volt product. I have the size and the lightness of subcompact. I have the power of full compact, and now I can run cordless product so far as outdoor products, grinders, sliding compound miter saws, and that thing was a beast. They wouldn't let me use that either, because again, you know, stupid people screw everything up for you know, smart people. That's why we can't have nice things. But it's one battery. You buy 18 volt product. He said the best deal is this. You buy the sliding compound miter saw, 36 volt. They're also giving away 2 extra batteries. You then buy either the tool only drill or impact, or the tool only combo kits, because they make some combo kits themselves. But I said that's the best deal of all. You get the charger, you get 4 batteries, and for I think it's $100 or $120 tool only, whatever it was, in the subcompact. I was mainly interested in the subcompact, because that really kind of blew my mind, the amount of power and the lightweightness of it. So you can get into that very inexpensively. So it has fast charge times. Okay, the battery stays cool, so you don't have to worry about hot swapping it. You don't have to sit there and put it in the shade and make sure that it cools down, and you don't have to worry about charge cycles. Okay, how many can I charge in a day versus how fast is it going to shorten? Is it going to shorten the life of the battery pack itself? So Makita is very interesting, and they said the battery technology that's coming out is going to be crazy. They were talking about on a 9 amp hour battery, charging it up for 20 minutes and you get all day performance. That's crazy. I can't even think of that. I remember when the first set of DeWalt drill I had was that big giant 18-volt brick. I mean, it was like carrying 30 pounds of crap. But it was 18-volt. It was, 9 pounds, and everybody's like, "Ooh, wow, that's really light." So what they're talking about is super light charge, fast charge time with zero heat. He's talking zero heat. You're talking about jamming a bunch of energy into a cell, pulling it off, sticking it in there. You get all-day performance, and you get almost little to zero heat because of the way that they cycle the air through the batteries as they're charging them. It's insane. The cooler that you can keep those cells, the faster that they can the faster that they can pour the energy back into them. Amazing. So 36-volt product. There's a ton of 36-volt product. They also said that they're coming in with, I think he said 50 new tools, 50 brand new tools to Makita themselves. So I think they've finally gotten their game to the point where they can start to take on specialty trade cordless product that is what they want. I did have a chance to look at their 36-volt chainsaw. It's equivalent to a 50cc gas professional saw, as the guy says. I didn't have a chance to try it. Obviously, the chain that was on the saw was a homeowner chain. It was awful. You look at the chips and you could tell that it's a low kickback, awful thing. But it was super fast. And the guy was just like zipping through it. I was amazed. I was simply amazed. So that's the 36-volt chainsaw. I did have a chance to pick it up and feel the balance. It did feel like it did feel like a standard 50cc saw. I did, but I didn't pick it up. So Makita makes under their name by Dolmar. Makita owns Dolmar. That used to be Dolmar Sachs in the chainsaw industry. Sachs got out. Dolmar went to Makita, and Makita bought Dolmar as their parent company, so they make both Makita product and Dolmar product. But it's all going to kind of switch over to Dolmar product. So that was 36 volt. So that was pretty amazing. The weed whacker that they have a couple of outdoor products so far as string trimmers. What else did they have there? They had a pole saw. I forgot what else they had there. I can't remember. But it all had two 18-volt batteries on there. A simple program of just chuck 2 batteries in, you're good to go. You don't have to change. You don't have to take another battery with you. You don't have to take another charger with you. 9 times out of 10, I forget to bring the damn charger. And 9 times out of 10, when I'm in halfway through a job, you didn't plug in the battery. So you got to find the charger. I left the charger at home, or I left it over in, another job. But this, you take 18, you take the charger with you. You have one platform that will do it all. Okay? It's simple. Once the guy explained to me what Makita wanted to do and how they wanted to explain their product line to me, it makes total sense. I don't have to buy 12. I don't have to buy 12 volt. I don't have to buy a 60 volt or 40 or whatever it is. I just buy 18, and I'm done. I have all the power I need. If I need more, I'll just get the compact. I just get the regular size drill, and it's 18 volt. Everything runs on it. So let's get into Makita and Dolmar, their gas-powered chainsaws. Now, if you guys work at all with chainsaws, you'll notice that there's kind of 2 big names that are out there, Stihl and Husqvarna. Now, there are a couple other ones. One of them is Dolmar. Now, Dolmar is always kind of known as the Ferrari of chainsaws. They have a very distinctive exhaust note. And out of the box, they come just tweaked so fast. You know, they're running 13, 14 ripums coming out of the box. If you look at the torque curve on Dolmar, it's not as high as, say, a Stihl or Husqvarna. What their big claim to fame is and how they do it is speed. Okay? We don't need high torque because we're not dragging the train. We are ripping the chain through the wood at a high rate of speed, so we're getting a very fast cut. You can dial them up. Those guys who port and polish and do all that kind of work, there's not that much work that those guys can do that Dolmar hasn't already done. The ergonomics on them are good. I still like my Husqvarna feel a little better. I picked up about 8 or 10 saws. Their price point, holy smokes on these saws. Their price points are insane. They're great. You look at them. Go look at Makita chainsaws. They're Dolmar, but they're now blue as opposed to orange and black. So they're blue and gray where they used to be orange and black. Some of the older Makita product will still have on the handle Dolmar. If you're still freaked out about that, it doesn't say Makita on it. It's a Makita product. They bought Dolmar, apparently, which I didn't know, decades ago. They've just, not recently, but recently they have gone into this very hard push of branding Dolmar saws and this outdoor product with Makita branding. So, I had a chance to pick up their 50 and with half a dozen saws. Very good saws. That's the first time I've really had a chance to pick those up. I've used Stihl in the past an 027 and I can't remember, 36. I think it was an 036. It's been a long time since I've picked up product. But my big complaint why I moved over to Husqvarna was that the Stihl saws it just didn't feel right in my hands, and they always feel mushy. It was a nice saw. I couldn't complain about anything, but the fit and finish and the hands, the feel in the hands, didn't feel right to me. After I picked up Husqvarna, okay, so when I picked up a Husqvarna and I went back to my Stihl, it's like something just feels right about this Husqvarna. So that's why I switched from Stihl to Husqvarna. Not because of anything, you're getting better performance here or anything like that. All those manufacturers can do the same. But it's the feel of the saw. Every time I pick up a Stihl, it just feels just mushy to me. A lot of people don't feel that. I do. When I picked up this Dolmar product, when I picked up the Makita branded Dolmar product, it felt almost as good or as good as the Husky product I've used. Now, I'd like to try out some Dolmar stuff. Makita, Dolmar branded stuff. Because I'd like to try it. Now, the other thing that I thought was rather interesting. Makita Dolmar chainsaws use carburetors. I was amazed. I was like, wait a minute. How does that meet EPA standards? Because the new EPA standard says that they have to meet a certain tier of compliancy of exhaust. So what the big two have done, in all of them, is they've gone to an electronic type of carburetor. Okay, there's a little ECU in there that measures the air-fuel mixture. Okay, goes out. So that it will absolutely tune itself. Okay, Husqvarna calls it auto-tune. I forget what Stihl calls theirs. But they both use electronic carburetors so that you get the optimum performance out of that saw, because it's constantly trying to change for its optimum performance. Okay, the exhaust that's coming out of there, so it's the cleanest that it can be, and it's the most efficient that it can be. So what Dolmar has done is they said, nope, we're staying with carburation. But what they've done is as the guy explained it to me, is they run just before the exhaust goes out of the saw. There's a little port that puffs a little piece of air in there that changes, okay, the exhaust, how potent the exhaust is going out. So it waters it down to make it efficient. So what we can do here is we can dial in that carburetor to set it for summer or for winter, whatever it is, and it will still be as at the highest performance as we can make it, but it will also be through that little puff of air at the end of the exhaust stroke as it's coming out the cleanest that it can be. So that's kind of a neat different way of doing it. So that's Makita in a nutshell. I know I spent a lot of time on Makita. I've been on the hunt for battery product. I recently got a rigid 18 volt drill for like $80. It came with 2 batteries, and I'm okay with the performance of it, but I've not really been too happy about it. And every time I go into the big box stores, there's only 2. There's only one that sells Makita. Every time I go in there, the red guys, the green guys, and the yellow guys all have properly charged batteries on their products. And there's always, not always, but 9 times out of 10, when I'm in the tool department during the day, there's a rep there for either the red or the yellow guys or the orange. Yeah, there's a tool rep there that will go through the product with you, demonstrate it with a charged battery, with product there, waiting to go. So they can demonstrate the tool to you. You can use that tool, okay? Then you can go to the shelf and buy it. Makita, I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to tell it to you straight. I've never, ever seen a Makita tool rep there. Never. I've seen everybody else, but I've not seen Makita. And I was kind of like, what are you guys hiding? So, if you guys are listening in the Maryland area, specifically the Cockeysville and Shrewsbury stores, you guys have to make a presence there, because I never see you guys there during the day, ever. I see the other color guys there, but I never see you guys there. Never see you guys, and 80% of the time, never do I ever see a charged battery in there. It's either dead, or the battery's missing, or there's no chuck on the, there's no screw bit on the. It just is awful. That's why you don't sell a ton of product in my area. I don't know about other areas, but in my area, in those 2 stores that I talked about, I go to 3 depots. But it's primarily the one in Cockeysville and the one in Shrewsbury. I never see good placed product. Okay? That's what I see as a customer. So this that I got demonstrated for me at Mother Earth, and I had a chance to go through all of the product line. Battery, corded, power, battery, and chainsaw product. I had a chance to go through all of that, and the guy was able to school me really, really nice. So I've really come to appreciate Makita again, because I own other older Makita product. I use the one, with that long stick drill, that you used to get, you first saw it on this old house. It was like 9.6. Woo! And then we, went up to where we are today. 18 volt is primarily the source. But I have their circular saw. I have 2 or 3 drills. I have the original 4-inch little cutoff saw that was kind of really not a good product, and they knew it. But their new saws that they have coming out, there's 36 volt saws, cordless saws. Amazing. I was amazed at the amount of power in there. They say it has the same amount of power or a little better than the corded product. It's amazing. And they can keep that power all the way up until it shuts down. Okay? It's not a slowly ramping thing. It's and then it's dead. And then the battery is dead. Once it gets down below, I forgot what the guy said. 4 volts or 7 volts. I don't remember what it is. But that's Makita. That's Yanmar. Again, Makita, to my guy there, thank you for the hat. I really am very appreciative of this multi-tool. Thank you for spending all that time with me and answering all my products and going through all of Makita itself and spending that time with me. I greatly appreciate it, and schooling me and bringing me kind of back to Makita. I think the next tool purchase is going to be that subcompact 18 volt black tools. I think it's like $220 for a drill and the impact and 2 amp batteries with a standard charger. That how can you beat that? So that's that. So that was the free swag that I got, and that was those 2 major things that I learned at Mother Earth, which is really cool. So the first table I stopped at, which was really cool. So let me see. Do I have... Okay, so everybody needs to go to this guy's website. Okay, I'm going to plug him. Okay. All right, I'll keep it right there. See if I can get it a little better. Okay, guys got that? Okay. So he gave me a couple of these things. They're not really business cards as much as he is just an independent guy that's running a table, now booth. Now, for those guys who have been to any type of craft show, gun show, Mother Earth Fair, any of these things, there are small little mom and pop guys that walk through that go across the country. Now, you'll notice this guy is from Florida, okay? So let's bring his stuff up there, okay? So he's in Florida. So he goes around to all of these festivals. It's he and his wife, okay? So everybody goes, man, that guy's got to be making a ton of money. I don't know how these guys, okay? So the product that he introduced me to was his fire starter, okay? So it's Pure Fire Tactical, okay? So this is the version that I got. The version that I have, okay, it folds into this very small case, okay? It opens up, okay? For all of you, fire starting is about flint and steel. So what he does with his flint is he actually just uses a 12-inch hacksaw blade. It's high carbon steel. So you can run this as your flint. But what's this? Magnesium. Okay, for those of you who don't know, the 70s were plagued by VW fires. Now, VW had high magnesium, okay, in their vehicles. So when they caught fire, the last thing you wanted to put on there was water. Water excites magnesium, but it makes a great fire starter, okay? So I bought this. I think it was $30. Okay, do you see all this magnesium? Okay, I'm going to probably run a second video on all these products. Okay, So what you do with this tool, which is an awesome thing, okay, on the inside, see, he has a couple of versions of this. This just happens to be the small version. He had a smaller version, and then he had a really big version with a big handle on it that he was using to demonstrate. It was too big for what I wanted. I just wanted this in a quick little bag. So you take this blade, okay, and he has it. I don't know if you can see. There's a little burr, okay. There's a little burr there, okay. He sharpens it. So what you do is you take this, and because magnesium is soft, you can take this hardened steel, and you can come across, okay, whoops, and peel off shavings of magnesium, okay. Magnesium, when you put a spark to it, gets a very high flame. So trying to get a fire started is very simple. So what was included in this was also a little tinder bundle. This was very smart. So what is wrapped up into this little thing here? Okay, this is a piece of duct tape, and on the back side of this, can you see right there? Okay, can you see that? That's little shavings of magnesium. So what happens is you roll this out. Okay, this is fat wood. Okay, you shave this, or you can split it. He just ran shavings off of it. Okay, you put this underneath, you shave this on top, and then you put your tinder bundle on top after you shave some more magnesium through it. Couple sparks, and this thing just goes off like freaking crazy. Very simple, better than matches, okay? Lifetime warranty. You wear this now. I don't know how these guys do it, okay? I realize that that's a ton of magnesium, but if you're out there starting fires all the time without using matches, you can wear this down pretty well. You'll notice that on one of the TV shows, Home and Alone or Naked and Afraid or whatever, one of the guys used his product. And he signed one and all that kind of fun stuff. But this is a very cool product. Again, you can go on his Facebook page. His name is Pure Fire Tactical Fire Starters, okay? He has all the... I want to plug the guy because it's he and his wife. They go from Florida to all of these shows. Now, you got to remember, a booth is probably $500–600. These are $30 a piece. Okay? So, not only do you have to get your booth, make these, demonstrate them, pay for your booth, pay for your hotel room, pay for something to eat, okay, dinner and breakfast, okay, but you also have to drive around, you have to set up, tear down, okay? These guys aren't making I don't know how they make a living. I really don't. Because the amount of humongous effort that you have to put out, people don't want to do. But so when I came across, this was the first table I stopped at, and he got me sucked into this. And I knew after seeing he and his wife and his little display booth that he had there, and the wonderful, very quick and easy demo he did on this. Go find this guy and go buy as many of these things as you can. Okay, he has several versions of these. This just happens to be in green. Again, green is my favorite color. Okay, so go see this guy and go buy one of these things from Pure Fire Tactical. Very simple to use. I've already used it 3 or 4 times. As you can see, I have plenty of flint and steel, but I don't have any magnesium. So this is all in one. This is a very, very easy kit to use. Very easy to explain to people. And it works. It works extraordinarily well. So, okay. So that's that. Oh, let me put this all in one kit so it's all set to go. This will go into my little bug out bag. Not bug out bag, but it's a get home bag. Okay. It's light and small enough for me to do. Okay, so what's the other thing? Okay, so I've forgotten. I'll have to link the guy's name below, but I bought a pen. Again, another guy out of Northeast Maryland. I think he calls himself the Lathman, Latheheman. Okay, he made tons of bowls and all that kind of stuff. But this he made as a pen. Okay. Now, if you recognize the shape, okay. All right, recognize the shape yet? Okay, it's in an AR form. The Armalite Rifle Corporation, AR-15. Everybody goes, it's an assault rifle. No, it stands for Armalite Rifle Corporation. But I thought was cool. This is a Picatinny rail, and that's the muzzle brake. Okay, you'll notice the pocket clip itself. Let's see if the pocket clip. Okay, that's the standard A2 sight. You flip up the back of the pen. Okay, and that's the sight. That's the sight picture. I thought it was cool. Then it has the little charging handle on the side. Okay, and it comes in burled maple. I mean, look at that wood. That wood is just spectacular, and it is just smooth as glass. There was a couple of other pens that I liked. This was 50 bucks. I think it's called the Lathman, Latheman. I think that's what he was called. I have his card around here. I can't remember. I'll see if I can link it in the thing below. But the cool thing about this, with all these pens, when you take it apart, okay, it's very solid. Okay. But so when this goes dead, keep the spring, because the spring doesn't come with the refill. These refills are by Parker. Okay, you can get Parker refills anywhere. You can get them from Staples. You can get them from Office Depot. You can get them anywhere. But this just happens to be a medium refill. So what I want to do is get a fine refill. Okay, I'll get it in just a second. So that was the pen guy. So that was really cool. So look him up. I'll link him down below. I'm sorry, my man. I forgot all your stuff. But he is the Lathman. His bowls and all of his stuff was really kind of cool. There it goes. I didn't have it. There it goes. I didn't have it situated correctly. And then you just use that. The thing that attracted me to this pen, there was another pen there with a lot of filigree and carving in a Celtic knot pattern, which was really cool. But the problem I had when I wrote with it is that it wasn't grippy enough. This, because it has all of this knurling and all of this Picatinny rail, is it gives you a very firm grasp of the pen itself. So go check him out. I'll link him down below. The Lathman, I think he's called, which is really cool. Who else? I'll save him for last because he was really good. I should actually buy his book because it was really good. All right, now, one of the things that I was very interested in and have been interested in for a very long time has been, I don't know where that came from, has been outside furnaces. Okay, and one of the companies was this. Okay, Central Boiler. They have been with the okay, so I looked at the Classic. Okay, now This is the Edge, and this is the Titanium series, okay? Two separate stoves altogether, okay? One is a gasifier, which means that instead of when it burns in the fuel box, it heats up a jacket. So let me explain to you before I get into that how these outside furnaces work, okay? So these outside furnaces work by heating up a water jacket, okay? So you put wood in there, you start it, close the door. So what's up, TRZ? How are you? I was just literally getting into central boiler. So how these outside furnaces work is there's a jacket of water. Depends on the size. So the jacket of water is anywhere between 140 gallons and the big one is 762 gallons. Okay. So what happens on the standard one? Yeah, life is good, man. You know, I was just bringing up a recap of the Mother Earth Fair. So what happens is you fill the firebox all the way up with wood, and as it burns, it heats up this water jacket. Now the water jacket is then recirculated to your house, and it's like it's 100 and I think he said 175 to 180 degree water. So in the wintertime, what happens is this pipe is buried. It's all insulated. It's all one thing. So you just come in and has an outfeed and a return. Super insulated. Doesn't necessarily need to be below the frost line. They said for every 500 feet, you lose 1 degree of temperature. That's amazing. So it goes in the house. It goes into your whatever it is. You can use it for domestic hot water. You can also use it for, what primarily it's used for, is going in front with the radiator with your first hot air, or you can run it for a closed loop radiant floor heating system in the house. So you can use that for this, and it will circulate all that stuff. He said if you run a radiant floor heat, you will need a booster pump because that's a lot of pressure for that. This is the Classic. So the Classic is not a gasifier. What it does is it heats the jacket up and then up the flue, the smoke goes up the chimney. But because it burns hotter, it doesn't blow as much smoke. Okay. The problem is the emissions that come out of this stove apparently don't meet Maryland air quality standards. That's why you couldn't sell them in Maryland. Well, what they had to do, which they already had in the works, is they have this one, which is called the Titanium Classic. This is the Edge, okay? Totally different product altogether. Yes, it looks the same, but it's totally different. This is a gasifier. This is 98% efficient, okay? The other one is, I think he said it was like 80% efficient. This is almost totally efficient. What happens is this. Inside of here are 2 chambers, okay? So let me see if I can open this up to a little better picture to show you from inside. Okay. All right, so this is good. This is, I don't know if you can see this or not. So here is the firebox, okay? So you load this thing up like crazy, okay? In between here, okay, is when the fire is down below, it is pushed by a fan, all of the gases, all of the heat, all of the smoke, all of that stuff down to here, which is the reaction chamber. The reaction chamber burns so hot, the reaction chamber will burn, okay, I forgot where, oh man, I'm just messing this up. But what the reaction chamber does is it will burn the soot, it will burn the smoke. It uses that to ignite those flames, okay, to ignite all of that unburnt fuel. Because if you got smoke coming out, you have unburnt fuel. You have uncombusted fuel that is using. So what happens with this is this comes down, burns all of that. Then as it comes up, it goes to this baffle that's in the back that further scrubs all the heat out of here so that when it comes out of the back of the stove, literally, it's about 80 degrees. You can't burn your hands. So with the other one, the classic one where it just burns, there's no reaction, okay, that's a lot hotter. So it's not as efficient. Where this, no smoke. Okay, you burn 50% less wood in this gasifier system. Now, there's a couple other companies that are out there. Garn is one of them, G-A-R-N. But this sits outside. So you take a little shed. You put this outside. It can be out in the weather. All you have to do is run 120 to it, 120 volts to it. It'll run off of 110. Okay, and you have to bury the pipe. Then it goes into the house and as a secondary heat source. Central boiler. This was cool. So he said an installation, depending on it, is anywhere from 8,000 to 18. It depends on the size of furnace you need. It depends how far it is. It just depends. That was central boiler. So those guys really kind of schooled me in a really good thing. I don't have Peter's information. Dang it. AST Filters was there, and I don't have... Do I have their stuff? Yes, I do. Okay, AST Filters. AST Filters. Go on there. Go check out Peter. He was cool. I know this is going on for like hour and 10 minutes. AST Aquaponics. Okay. A lot of people like the idea of aquaponics. So aquaponics means that you have a fish tank and you have plants. And in between there is a filter. So what happens is the dirty water from the fish, the pee and poo, goes into there, goes into a reaction chamber. The solids strain out, okay? And then there is a balance so far as it takes out, it changes the nitrates to nitrites or the nitrites to nitrates. And don't quote me on that. But it changes the bad stuff to good stuff. People come in the office. Hey, man, it's all good, bro. Thanks for coming, man. I appreciate it. So it takes the bad stuff out of the nutrient-rich water, or it changes the poo into a fertilizer that the plants can use. So it's a totally complete system. Okay? So it takes the pee and poo from the fish, sends it to a chamber, bioreaction chamber, changes it through waka waka waka. Okay, and then it's then fed to the plants, and then the plants go yummy yummy, eat it up, and you don't have you then have all kinds of yummy plants. But what happens with that system is it's somewhat highly labor intensive to maintain, and you have to use a bunch of pumps, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. But this system that he's running, okay, yeah, the system itself is a completely closed loop system, okay. So this is the thing that they designed. So this came out to the fish tank. Sorry guys, this is the fish tank. This is the bead filter, okay. So the water comes into here, takes all the pee and poo, goes into there, runs through there, and then once it backwashes, it uses an air pump that then filters through there, backwashes all the yucky stuff out of the fish tank through the beads, does a backwash, pushes all the hard stuff through, and then once it's all cleaned, it goes back into the tank. Very simple. All the solids then go into this tank, and then this tank, then you can strain off the solids. Hopefully I've explained that. I don't know. But that backwash process in a lot of these systems uses a lot of water. This doesn't. This doesn't use any of those water. So Pete was really good. So what'll happen is this system that he was working on that today. So it was the backwash system itself was completely automated. Everything was completely automated. So literally, you put the fish in, you feed the fish every once in a while, but the system will take care of itself. And that's the system that he was talking about today. That's the system that he was demonstrating when we were there. So that system will support 125 pounds of fish. So if you want to grow tilapia, you can grow 125 pounds of fish. It generates half a gallon of wastewater that it has to when you go to flush it out. It uses half a gallon of that. So it will support up to 220 heads of lettuce every 6 weeks, totaling 1,976 heads of lettuce annually. Okay? So go check these guys out. AST. Okay. Let's see. They have... Okay, AST filters. Okay. So that's the website for this system. Okay. Peter, smart dude. Young guy. Smart dude. His stuff is all in big commercial stuff. In like the Baltimore Zoo. I mean, not the zoo. The aquarium has AST filters. Really cool guy. Really cool guy. All right, that was AST. So those guys are way cool. That guy, he said you can run a saltwater system and you can run shrimp, but he says it's very difficult to do. You have to have, and he explained it to me. It was super complicated, but you can run freshwater prawns and you can run it through that system, or you can run it through one of his other systems. So go check out AST filters on YouTube. The other people that I saw were kind of like, they were with Central Boiler. So Central Boiler, as I just said, does all of the outside furnaces. So they decided that they were going to get into the lawn and garden business, okay? So this company called Altos. They make this tracked mower. Okay, I understand what the premise is. So what the whole premise behind this is, sorry, I'm giving you the pointer finger, is that zero-turn mowers, when you put them on a hill, the front wants to wash out, okay? Because the only thing that's up front are these caster wheels, okay? So typically when you put it on a hill, the front wants to wash out. So, that's why those have commercial mowers have wide back tires, because it gives you a wider footprint so that the front doesn't wash out. So what these guys do is they put tracks on there. I don't like tracks. Okay, that's a very high wear point. I know a lot of people run Max Track and they run all those kind of stuff, but as a commercial guy cutting all day, The second problem I had with this manufacturer is the seat height is way too high. Way too high. You sit high. The higher that you sit up on these machines, okay, the lower that the higher the center of gravity is. The other problem that you have is look at the ROPS system. Okay, the ROPS is that standard is way high. The problem is you can't go underneath the trees. You can't get into underneath of stuff that you need to get into. It sits way too high. When these tend to sit real high, they're just really fishy kind of. They're very uncomfortable. They have interesting products. They're more gamed to the home guy than they are the professional guys. Okay. So this is Altos. I went through. They had a couple of interesting designs. They also said that they have two decks. One that is a all-terrain deck with breakaway blades. So what they're talking about with this, with their all-terrain deck, is that the blades are segmented. So instead of a solid blade, okay, it's a segmented blade. So it's made to, so when you run over like little saplings and stuff like that, it's meant to cut those. So it's a kind of a, as I call it, a gross deck. If I need to brush hog, I need to use a brush hog. I'm not going to completely pound the lightweight clutch that's on these machines. You have to remember that on those brush hogs, those guys are running a PTO, which is a power takeoff that is completely driven by a gearbox. You run something at that speed and you're hitting saplings on those electrical clutches, you put a humongous strain on those. And it also is very hard on the rest of the stuff. So I don't like that at all. The decks are driven by very long belts. So they have a manual lift deck. But the other thing that they said that you can do, so this was the one that would interest me the most. This was a Kawasaki engine machine. But one of the things that they do, which I think is kind of wrong, okay, they put a plow on the front of these things. Okay, these pumps, they're not Parker. They're I forgot who they use, but they don't run kind of the commercial standard of Parker wheel motors. But what you can do with this is you can take off the original axle that's on there, put this axle on there that will allow you to mount this on there with this control box to push. This system of hydraulics don't like that constant push. That's not what this is built for. You're going to tear those motors up pretty quickly. But they also make okay, leaf vac systems. Okay. So, and those are pretty good. The guys who did the guys I talked to at Atos, very cool guys. Very cool guys. I wish those guys a lot of luck. All right, we're getting pretty long in the tooth here. Sorry guys, we're getting real long in the tooth. The last guy that I wanted to talk to, I went to I think 2 seminars, 3 seminars, 2 seminars. One was on coconut water. I can't remember. The last guy that we went to is awesome. Okay? Go find this guy. Find this guy, Christopher Shockley. Okay? He has 2 books. Okay? Can you see those? I don't know if this is backwards or you see it as forwards. I don't know. One is called Fermented Vegetables, and the other one is called Fiery Ferments. Okay? They're by Christopher Shockley. Funny guy. Funny guy. He was the last... He was the last presenter of the day. They have different stages all around. But he was kind of like the last guy that was there. And he was doing pickling. So he was doing fermented foods. So he was doing pickles. He was doing krauts. And he was doing pastes. The paste that he showed was a leek paste. Because leeks don't pickle well and they don't kraut very well. So he put it in a blender. Blended it up. Stuck it in as a paste. And you put a little salt. As soon as that starts to pull out the water. So you get a brine. Okay. Krauts are very simple. Basically what you do is you take a cabbage or any grated vegetable and you salt it lightly. So the way that he explained it, which was really good, when you go through the fermenting process, is you salt it. So the salt then brings out whatever water is in that vegetable, and it mixes with the salt, and you pack that down so that the brine that it produces itself, you don't have to add water, but once the salt is in there, it will extract the liquid that's in that vegetable, okay, and that will create a brine. Then what you want to do is you want to pack all of those vegetables down tight. You want them real tight. And you want the brine to be above whatever vegetable so that it creates that fermentation good process. And you want to cover it so that you don't have air infiltrating, then spoiling your food. He explains it very well in these. Go buy his books. He and his wife live in Oregon, or I think he said Oregon, and she wasn't there. But he was a very cool guy. So you can go to his Facebook page. His Facebook page is Ferment Works 1. Okay. Ferment Works, WORKS, one word, 1. Okay, the number 1. Pinterest, Ferment Works. Okay. Go check this guy out. He's very cool. And you can make your own sauerkraut. You can make your own pickled, he pickled asparagus, which is really cool. And that he did have to make a brine for. But what he talks about with the brine, which I thought was pretty cool, when you salt the vegetables, okay, especially with the kraut. So he ground carrots. I think it was carrots. They did carrots and something else. I can't remember. But he salted it. And so he said, what you want for when you salt the vegetables is you just want it to be like salty potato chips. Not the ones totally at the bottom of the bag. Not the ones all the way at the top of the bag, but kind of towards the middle at in the middle bottom where it's kind of salty itself. Not too salty, but salty enough. If you add too much salt, you have to add more vegetables. So be aware of that. And he gives you time, 6-7 days for certain things and all that kind of stuff. But it's all in his book. I forgot to buy it because it was at the end of the day. We were completely spent. We were just exhausted, and it started raining. So that's it. That's the Mother Earth News recap, the swag. Thanks to Yanmar and Makita. Thanks to Chris for a wonderful class. My guys at here and here. Okay. Thank you for your products. I will use them in great happiness. And go check out Mother Earth News Fair. Okay. I know I've drawn on long enough. 92 minutes. Woo! So if you guys have come this far with me, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. Next year we should have a good time. I'd like to go back to Seven Springs because that's kind of like a little vacation. But Fredrick, Mother Earth News Fair was awesome. A perfect success, rousing success. More vendors than I could actually concentrate on. So, thanks for staying with me. Hopefully you got something out of it. Hopefully it just didn't drone on forever. And you'll check out these manufacturers and go to Altos and go to AST Filters and go check out Peter. He's a real smart guy. Thanks, guys. We will talk to you later, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.